Long Beach, California. Long Beach Arena, December 2nd, 1967. Saturday evening, 6:15 in the evening. The International Karate Championships have just concluded. 2,000 spectators are filing out of the arena. Conversations echo through the corridors. Excitement still hanging in the air. This is the biggest martial arts tournament on the West Coast. Fighters from California, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, some from as far as Texas and New York, all competing for recognition, for trophies, for the right to call themselves champions. The main arena is emptying, but the backstage area is still alive with activity. Fighters collecting their gear, coaches discussing what went right and what went wrong, tournament officials reviewing scorecards, vendors packing up equipment. The atmosphere is electric. Post-competition energy, the kind that comes after hours of intense physical and mental effort. Some people are celebrating. Some are disappointed. All of them are processing. Down a narrow corridor, past the equipment storage room, is the fighter's locker room, a large rectangular space with concrete floors and fluorescent lights. Metal lockers line one wall. Wooden benches run down the center, showers in the back. The air smells like sweat, liniment oil, and canvas gi fabric. 15 fighters are scattered throughout the space, some sitting on benches unlacing their belts, some standing at lockers pulling on street clothes, some washing their faces in the sinks. The energy here is different from the arena, more intimate, more honest. This is where fighters are just people again, where the performance ends and reality resumes. Joe Louis enters the locker room, carrying his championship trophy. Heavyweight division. First place. The trophy is substantial, brass figure on a wooden base. His name engraved on a small plate. He is 24 years old, 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. Broad shoulders, thick arms, the build of someone who has trained in traditional karate for years. His white gi is damp with sweat. His black belt is tied around his waist. His face shows satisfaction, pride, the look of someone who just proved what they already knew, that they are the best. Other fighters notice him enter. Heads turn, nods of acknowledgement. One fighter, a middleweight from San Diego, walks over, extends his hand. "Congratulations, Joe. You fought well today." Joe shakes his hand, grins. "Thanks, you too. That semi-final match you had was close." The middleweight shrugs. "Lost by a point. That's how it goes." Joe sets his trophy on the bench, starts to untie his belt. Other fighters drift closer, offering congratulations, asking about his matches. Joe answers easily, confidently. He is comfortable being the center of attention. This is his moment. A heavyweight from Oregon, a competitor Joe defeated in the finals, sits on the bench nearby. He is nursing a bruised rib, prodding it gently, wincing. "You hit hard, Louis. That reverse punch in the third round, I felt that one." Joe nods. Traditional technique, full hip rotation. That's what generates power, proper form. The Oregon fighter nods. "You train with Bruce Lee, right? I heard you're one of his students." Joe's expression shifts slightly. He does train with Bruce, has for about a year. Private lessons at Bruce's school in Chinatown. But lately the training has felt different. Bruce teaches techniques that do not align with what Joe learned in traditional karate. Bruce emphasizes formlessness, adaptability, economy of motion, things that Joe respects intellectually but questions practically, especially in tournament settings where judges score based on traditional criteria. "I've trained with Bruce a few times," Joe says. His tone is careful, measured. He's very skilled, very fast, but his approach is different from traditional karate. Another fighter, a lightweight from Los Angeles, chimes in. I saw Bruce in the audience today. He was watching your matches, taking notes. Joe nods. Yeah, I saw him too. The conversation shifts. Someone mentions Bruce's demonstration at last year's tournament. How fast he moved. How precise. Someone else mentions the rumors. That Bruce claims traditional martial arts are limited, that he advocates for a more scientific approach. Joe listens. His jaw tightens slightly. He has heard these things before, has discussed them with Bruce directly, but hearing them repeated in a locker room full of traditional karate practitioners feels different, feels like a challenge to everything they have trained for. Joe speaks, louder now, addressing the room. Bruce's techniques are very impressive, very flashy, but they don't work in tournament competition. Heads turn. Conversations stop. Everyone is listening. Joe continues. You can't score points with that stuff. Judges want to see clean traditional techniques, proper form, controlled strikes. Bruce's style is too loose, too unconventional. If you want to win tournaments, you stick to traditional karate. That's what I did today. That's why I won. The room murmurs. Some fighters nod. Some look uncertain. The Oregon heavyweight says, but Bruce is fast. Doesn't speed matter? Joe shakes his head. Speed matters, yeah, but technique matters more. Judges score based on form, on control, on whether you execute traditional techniques correctly. Bruce's philosophy is interesting, but it doesn't translate to tournament success. Trust me, I've trained with him. I know. Another fighter asks. So you don't think Bruce could win a tournament? Joe considers. I think Bruce could do well, but he would have to change his style, adapt to tournament rules, do traditional techniques, and I don't think he would do that. He's too committed to his own philosophy. The room is quiet. Processing. Joe is the champion. His words carry weight. If he says traditional karate is superior, people listen. Then a voice from the doorway. Quiet, calm, unmistakable. Is that what you believe, Joe? The entire locker room freezes. 15 heads turn toward the door. Bruce Lee is standing there. 5'7", 135 pounds, wearing simple black pants and a black turtleneck. No gi, no uniform, no indication he was part of the tournament. Just standing there, watching, listening. His face is calm, neutral, but his presence fills the doorway. 15 fighters stare. Joe's face flushes. His stomach drops. How long has Bruce been there? How much did he hear? Bruce steps into the locker room. His movement is unhurried, deliberate. He walks toward the center of the room, toward Joe, the fighters part, creating space. No one speaks. Bruce stops 5 feet from Joe, looks directly at him. You just told everyone that my techniques don't work in tournaments, that traditional karate is superior, that speed doesn't matter as much as form. Joe swallows. His mouth is dry. Bruce, I didn't mean. Bruce raises a hand gently. You meant what you said. You believe it. That's fine. Beliefs should be tested. Bruce gestures to the open space in the center of the locker room. Show me. Show everyone here what scores points. Use your best traditional technique, the one that won you the championship today, and I will respond with my unconventional style. We will see which is more effective. Right here, right now. The locker room is dead silent. 15 fighters holding their breath. Joe stands frozen. This is not what he wanted. He was celebrating, sharing his victory. He did not expect Bruce to walk in, did not expect to be challenged. But he cannot back down. Not here, not in front of 15 fighters who just heard him claim traditional karate is superior. If he refuses, he looks weak. Looks like he spoke without conviction. He nods slowly. Okay. Bruce steps back. gives Joe space. Whenever you're ready, full speed, full power. Show me what wins tournaments. Joe takes a breath. His heart is pounding. He is still in his gi, still warmed up from competition. His body knows what to do. He drops into a traditional fighting stance. Zenkutsu dachi, front stance. Weight forward, hands chambered, proper form. Textbook karate. 15 fighters watch. Bruce stands casually, feet natural, hands relaxed at his sides. No guard, no stance. Just waiting. Joe moves. A traditional lunge punch. Oizuki, the technique he used to score the winning point in the finals 30 minutes ago. Fast, powerful, full hip rotation, proper extension. The kind of technique that judges love. Clean, controlled, obvious. His fist drives toward Bruce's midsection. Championship-level execution. Second one. Bruce's hand intercepts Joe's wrist. Mid-extension, light contact, just enough to redirect the trajectory. Joe's punch slides past Bruce's body. Misses by 2 inches. Joe resets. Tries again. Reverse punch, Jakuzuki. Another traditional technique. Another staple of tournament fighting. Same result. Bruce's hand meets Joe's wrist. Redirects it. No wasted motion, no dramatic block. Just minimal adjustment. Second 4. Joe switches strategy. Throws a roundhouse kick. Mawashi geri. High. Fast. Aimed at Bruce's head. The crowd pleaser. The technique that gets applause. His foot cuts through the air with speed. Bruce shifts his weight. Minimal movement. Offline, the kick sails past. Hits nothing but air. Joe's balance wavers slightly as his foot comes down. Second 7. Bruce is already moving. Not attacking. Just positioning. He steps to Joe's outside angle. Joe tries to turn, to reset, to regain his stance. Second 9. Bruce's left hand is on Joe's shoulder. Gentle pressure. His right hand is near Joe's neck. Not touching. Just hovering, positioned. Joe tries to move. Cannot. His structure is compromised. His balance is controlled. If he shifts weight forward, he will fall. If he pulls back, he will fall. He is frozen, held in place by pressure so light he can barely feel it. Second 12. Bruce speaks quietly. Only Joe and the closest fighters can hear. Your techniques are clean. Traditional. Exactly what tournament judges reward. But they require commitment, full extension, predictable trajectories. In a real fight, I intercept before you finish. Control your structure before you can reset. Judges score based on what they see. I respond based on what I feel. Second 15. Bruce releases Joe, steps back. Joe stumbles slightly, catches himself. His face is red, not from exertion, from shame, from realization. He just demonstrated his best tournament techniques, the techniques that won him a championship 30 minutes ago. And Bruce neutralized all of them, made them irrelevant. Not with superior power, not with flashier techniques, just with timing, with positioning, with understanding that exists outside tournament rules. Second 18. Bruce addresses the entire locker room. Joe is an excellent karate practitioner. He won today because he mastered tournament rules. That is a real skill. But tournament rules are not fighting. They are sport. They are performance. There is nothing wrong with that. But do not confuse the two. What scores points is not always what works. What looks clean is not always what is effective. The locker room is silent. 15 fighters staring. Some at Bruce, some at Joe, some at the floor. Processing. Trying to reconcile what they just saw. Joe Louis, the heavyweight champion, just had his best techniques neutralized in 18 seconds by someone 50 pounds lighter, by someone who did not take a fighting stance, who did not throw a single strike, just controlled, Just demonstrated. Bruce looks at Joe. His expression softens. You are very talented, Joe. You will have a great career in tournaments, if that is what you want. But if you want to understand fighting beyond rules, beyond points, you need to empty your cup. You need to question what you think you know. Joe nods. Cannot speak. His throat is tight. Bruce turns, walks toward the door, pauses, looks back. Tuesday evening, my school. If you want to continue learning, the door is open. Bruce leaves. The locker room remains silent for a long moment. Then conversations resume. Quieter now, more thoughtful. Fighters whispering to each other, discussing what they saw. Joe sits down heavily on the bench. His championship trophy sits beside him. Still gleaming, still proof of his victory. But it feels different now. Smaller somehow. He won the tournament, but he just lost something else. His certainty, his belief that traditional karate was the ultimate answer. The Oregon heavyweight sits down next to him, says quietly, "That was intense." Joe nods, stares at his hands, hands that just threw perfect techniques. Hands that hit nothing but air. "Yeah," he says. His voice is hoarse. "That was intense." 2 days later, Tuesday evening, Joe Louis walks into the Junfan Kung Fu Institute in Chinatown. He is wearing simple training clothes. No gi, no belt, no trophy. Bruce is teaching a class. 20 students working in pairs. Bruce sees Joe enter, nods, finishes his demonstration, then walks over. "You came," Bruce says. Joe nods. "You said the door was open. I want to learn, really learn, not just tournament techniques, everything." Bruce smiles slightly. "Good, but understand, this will challenge everything you think you know. It will be uncomfortable, frustrating. You will have to unlearn before you can learn. Can you do that?" Joe meets his eyes. "After what you showed me in that locker room, I have to. I won a championship and felt like I knew everything. Then you made me realize I know almost nothing. I can't ignore that." Bruce nods. "Then let's begin. Empty your cup. We'll fill it with something new." For the next 5 years, Joe Louis trains with Bruce Lee twice a week. He continues competing in tournaments, continues winning, but his style evolves, becomes more fluid, more economical, more effective. He incorporates Bruce's principles without abandoning his karate foundation. He becomes one of the most successful tournament fighters of his era, and whenever anyone asks him who his most important teacher was, he says the same thing. "I won my first championship using traditional karate, pure form, pure technique. I was proud, confident." Then Bruce Lee walked into a locker room and showed me that tournament success and fighting mastery are two different things. 18 seconds. That's all it took. 18 seconds to realize that everything I thought I knew was incomplete. Bruce didn't defeat me. He awakened me, and that's worth more than any trophy. The story spreads through the martial arts community, gets repeated, gets embellished. Some versions say they fought, some say Bruce knocked Joe down. None of that is true. What is true is simpler. A champion celebrated his victory by dismissing his teacher's methods. The teacher walked in, demonstrated superiority without arrogance, then invited the student to learn. 18 seconds of demonstration, years of transformation. That is not about winning. That is about wisdom. That is not about proving someone wrong. That is about showing them what is possible. That is mastery.